Hello, thanks for clicking. I'm Mark Morse. As I record this, it's July 4th, 2024 in the United States, and it's Independence Day. So I thought I'd celebrate the day by highlighting an album by this Canadian artist and singer-songwriter, Neil Young's 1974 On the Beach. This is part of my Albums I Love series where I highlight records that have just withstood the test of time that I play over and over again. I've never got tired of, and that it has a huge impact on me. This is part of Neil Young's Ditch Trilogy. Neil Young fans know of Neil Young becoming a big star with his album Harvest. The songs Heart of Gold, Old Man, put him in what Neil Young calls the middle of the road. He was uncomfortable there, thought it was boring, and so he said he headed for the ditch. And so the next three albums, Time Fades Away, On the Beach, and Tonight's the Night, are considered part of this Ditch Trilogy. I love all these records. But I decided to focus on this one today. It's a very personal album. He's dealing with so many things here. Dealing with fame, dealing with the breakup of a long-time relationship with Carrie Snodgrass, who he'd had a son with. Dealing with the record industry, critics, Richard Nixon. This is my OG copy. I love the album cover. The reason I'm using this OG copy instead of my reissue, the reissue didn't have these great liner notes on the inner sleeve, so I really like this. The record is on reprise. Another cool thing about the album itself, if you notice the pattern inside the umbrella there, it's repeated on the inside of the record cover. So I always thought that was cool. But I'm just going to do a real quick rundown of these songs. Walk On starts the album. It's his response to his critics. It was my favorite Neil Young song for a long time. When this album came out, I played Walk On over and over again. Just has a great song, has a little funky break in the middle of it I just love. See the Sky About to Rain. That's the only song on here that was not written for this album. It's one he had performed earlier in his career, but it fits right on this album. There's a William Blake poem with the line, "Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night." When I hear this song, I think of that poem. Revolution Blues is a song about Charlie Manson and the whole scene going on around Charlie. Neil Young had met Charlie Manson a couple times at Beach Boys, Dennis Wilson's home a couple times. Very disturbed by him. The song is disturbing but intriguing, and it's a great angry song. It has a great sense of anger about it. For the Turnstiles, Neil Young dealing with the commercialism of the music world. Vampire Blues. I'm a black bat babe, banging on your window pane. Love that song. Commentary on the oil industry, the oil millionaires. And then On the Beach, the namesake of the album, just a sad meandering about the downsides of fame. Motion Pictures, one of my favorite songs off this album. It kind of chronicles the deterioration of his relationship with Carrie Snodgrass, and then Ambulance Blues. I took a lot of notes on Ambulance Blues because this song has always been an enigma to me. Let me tell you, I watched a video by Brian from Embryonic Robot, and he has a series about songs about Toronto, and he covered this song, and I'd found out a couple things from this song. There's just always been some intriguing lyrics to this song that kind of threw me off, but one of the lyrics involved the riverboat was rocking in the rain. So every time I heard this, I just kind of imagined stormy waters and a riverboat, which kind of fits the theme. But it turns out the riverboat was a coffee house in Toronto where folk singers like Arlo Guthrie, Gordon Lightfoot, Simon and Garfunkel would play. So the riverboat rocking in the rain took on a whole new meaning. And then there's a lyric about Isabella, and I always wondered who Isabella was. And it turns out that 88 Isabella Street was where Neil Young lived with Ricky James for a while. And the street was plowed under and rebuilt, and there was an apartment house put up where he had lived. And that whole thing about Isabella, that's all nostalgia for that area. So I just want to thank you, Brian, for sort of bringing that to my attention. The other thing I found on the internet, the man who told so many lies, who had a different story for every set of eyes, Neil Young said that was directed towards Richard Nixon. So Neil Young had a lot of help on this album. Ben Keith, Rusty Kershaw, David Crosby, Graham Nash, Tim Drummond, Billy Talbot, of course, Ralph Molina, and Lee Van Helm played the drums on See the Sky About to Rain. So he had a great cast here. Just a very interesting album. I just love it. Apparently, they did this thing called Honey Slides throughout the recording of this, and Honey Slides was a mixture of marijuana and honey, and they would saute it till it made this black goopy stuff, and they'd take it by the spoonful. And Neil Young attributes that to the kind of slow meandering feel of the album. But it's just a great sound, great album. If you're interested in Neil Young this period, he did another record called Homegrown between On the Beach and Zuma that was not released until 2020. It's a Record Store Day release. I might talk about that album separately, but it's songs around that same time, and I would encourage you to get that if you're interested about Neil Young in this time period. Then I would like to also do a couple shout-outs here. A couple more people have jumped on my sleep disorder thread, and I just wanted to mention them before closing out. Maria from Maria Wesley. She has jumped on the thread. I'll link to these people down below. Please check out their channels. They're just great people, both of the ones I'm mentioning today. Maria has a very eclectic response to the thread. Just a charming woman. Has a lot of experiences with rock and roll and concerts and stuff. Just a very interesting channel. If you're not already subscribed to her, I would recommend that you do. The other person who jumped on this was Jack from the Vinyl Voyage, and please go check out his response to this thread because it is hilarious. I'd had a really bad day the day he posted that video. It was one of those days at work where nothing went right, and I just felt like I'd been spinning my wheels and nothing was working out. I came home, I saw that video, and I found myself laughing, and I that's a big feat after a bad day at work. So check it out. It's hilarious. Jack at the Vinyl Voyage. Please subscribe. And then I wanted to end this video because it is the 4th of July here in the United States. I have a poem in this book. This is my second book of poetry. It's called Blue Rooms. And what's more American than promoting yourself on the 4th of July? Blue Rooms, you can get it at Amazon.com. Very cheap. Anyway, there's a poem in here called Iowa 4th of July Fertility Ritual. And I wanted to read this poem to you before we ended. Iowa 4th of July Fertility Ritual. We stand in the crops, our pants down, milking the cow and shooting our haphazard seeds at the vast blue yonder, like puny fireworks in empty celebration. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.